The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Jackson County, Oregon, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31020. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting low at the front bumper, you'll find 2 attachment point tow hooks. Up onto the grill, you'll find 2 emergency lights. Located back down on the bumper, you'll find your emergency siren. Moving up on to the hood, you'll find in the very front, right, and left your headlight cluster, in addition with a warning light on the side. Moving up onto the hood area, you'll find first this lever, which allows you to access inside the engine compartment. Moving up from that location, you'll find an air vent. And moving just down from that location on the side, you'll find a turn indicator. Here is a close-up of the latch, which allows you to tilt the cab forward to gain access to the motor. And here's a close-up of that side turn indicator. Let's go ahead and move up to the very top of the apparatus. Across the top, evenly spaced, you'll find your running lights. Moving to the center, you'll find a fixed forward-facing floodlight. Located at the very top of the cab, you'll find your emergency light bar. Located just inside the light bar in the center, you'll find your Opticom. We'll now go ahead and move back to the driver's side. Start down at the steps. You'll find perimeter lighting under the step area. Let's talk a little bit about some of the capacities and fluids here. You're going to find your ultra low sulfur diesel fuel here in the silver cap. Moving to the right, you'll find your DEF only cap, which is located in blue for DEF. Located just above that, behind the access door, you'll find your battery access. Generalized view here of the side of your apparatus. We're now going to talk a little bit about some of the components with inside the cab. Let's first start down at the very bottom here where the blue arrow is indicating is your battery switch. Moving up from that location, you'll find this yellow placard. This placard houses information on the VIN number. It also gives job information, fluid capacities, and gross vehicle weight ratings. Let's take a look at some close-ups here. This is your battery switch down at the lower left-hand portion of the entrance to the operator seat. You also have an auto charger. This indicates the battery level when plugged into shore power. Moving up onto the seat is an air ride seat. This is the adjustment for up and down. And the yellow handle is for forward and backwards. Moving on to about left knee height. This is going to be the location for the ignition. Moving up onto the dash area, you'll find your speed control, your RSM ACC control, and your set and coast control. Down to the next level, you'll find your headlights and also running light. Moving down to the next switch, this is a rocker switch, which is for increase and decrease of your panel lights. Let's go ahead and take a look at the dash itself. Starting on the left-hand side, you'll find your transmission temperature. Moving to the large center gauges, you'll find your tachometer. To the right of that, you'll find your miles per hour speedometer. Moving to the right of that, down at the very bottom, you'll find your air for your service brakes. Moving up from that location, you'll find air for your parking brakes. And just up from that, you'll find a 2-point gauge here. This is the level of your diesel fuel at the top. And at the very bottom, a digital readout for DEF. You also have a visual indicator in the very center. And to the very left-hand side, you'll find your water temperature and oil pressure. Let's go ahead and move just to the right of the dash of the steering column. At the very top, you'll find your filter minder. This is your air filter restrictor indicator. Moving to the right, you'll find your NRM spin and your ATC, which is your traction control switch. And down the very bottom, you'll find your selector switch for transmission pad. Generalized view here of the dash area. Let's break down some of the components here. We'll start on the very left-hand side. As you can see, you have at the very top the 2 window controls, and at the very bottom you have your engine brake control and a lock on-off switch. To the right-hand side, you'll find this yellow indicator. That is going to be pull for setting the brake and push to release the brake. On the left-hand side, we'll start at the very top with the red switch. This is your high idle. There is also an indicator light regarding the OK to engage the high idle. You have driver flood next, front flood, passenger side, load manager, and an alarm override. You also have 2 indicators for low voltage and a door open. Let's go ahead and move down to the next set down. You'll find here is your regen switch. Moving to the right, you'll find you have mirror heat. The blank switch is in case you choose to add a future switch at any time. You also have a rear scene, a folding tank rack, which is on the right-hand side of the apparatus, and also your perimeter lights. The blacked out area indicating Pierce, that is your seatbelt information location regarding persons that are in seatbelts or not. Moving just up from that location, you'll find your Bluetooth CD player radio. This is going to be your climate control. You'll also have a backup camera. This is the monitor for that backup camera. Moving overhead of the operator, you'll find these set of switches. We'll talk about those next. Starting in the left-hand side, your emergency master for your emergency lights, a siren horn, your master tank dump, driver dump valve, rear dump valve, and passenger dump valve. To the right of that location, you'll find this red light. If lit, this is indicating not to move the apparatus, that you have a compartment door ajar or open. Moving to the right of that, or just above that area, you'll find your control for your electronic siren. Looking over at the passenger side, let's look down at the very bottom near the seatbelt attachment point. You'll find you have a battery charger receptacle. It's a 120 VAC 20 amp plug, and directly behind the seat, this is your battery tender when plugged into shore power. Generalized view of the side of your apparatus. Let's start at the pump panel, and we'll start down at the very bottom. Just underneath the step, you'll find your foam pump discharge drain and also your foam pump intake drain. Moving up from that location, we'll start on the left-hand side over here. You have a variety of different things in this pump panel area, and we'll talk about those and have some close-ups. On the left-hand side, this was your direct tank fill. And also moving across, you'll find your discharge drain valves. And as you move further across, you'll find your pump drain. This is a pull. And we'll talk a little bit about the components within this access door. But let's go ahead and move up just from this access door to the top. This is going to be a foam inlet, and it's also to draft. Moving to the left-hand side, this will be your blow down. This is a turn, not a pull. Moving up from that location, you'll find crosslays number 1 and number 2 drains. And then moving to the right, this is going to be your auxiliary pump inlet. This is a 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. Moving over to the left-hand side, this is going to be information. I have some more pictures on this. This is going to be your Pierce maintenance schedule. And at the very top, this is the information regarding your Watrous pump. Let's go ahead and take a look up some of the close-ups here. This is that direct tank fill. Moving to the right of this location, you'll find your manifold drain, driver's side 1 and the 2.5-inch pre-connect drains. These are all color-coded. And to the right, you'll find your pump drain, pull to drain. Let's talk a little bit about behind this door. This is the access door I mentioned earlier. This is the location for your foam access. This valve handle here is horizontal for form operations, and then you move it in the upward position for a vertical to fill. This is also the location of your foam drain. Located on the right-hand side, this is the inlet for your foam tank fill. Just above that, you can see the draft, foam, or tank. Those are the options you have for this red valve. This is the driver's side auxiliary inlet. It's a 2.5-inch female inlet. Moving to the left, you can see your number 1 and number 2 crosslay drains, blue and red color-coded to the discharge. And this is your rear blowout for the reel line. Let's go ahead and take a look at that maintenance schedule. As you can see, you have a 150 PSI, 200 and 250 PSI. There are associated RPMs and PSIs associated with those individual tests. Moving up from this location, you'll find your Watrous placard. This has the serial number, ratio, and discharge pressures. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner of your pump panel with the pump intake gauge. Moving to the right, there are 2 ports located here, your test ports for vacuum and pressure. Moving up from that location, you'll find your pump discharge master gauge. Moving to the right-hand side, this is going to be your Pierce TPG, which is your pressure and governor. Moving to the right, you'll find this small black device. This is an audible speaker. Moving down in the red section, you'll find this as your Husky foam system controls. And as we move to the right, there are a set of rocker switches here. A little hard to see those labels right now. Same with the next set of rocker switches, so I'll cover those with the close-up in the next set of images. Let's move from this location all the way across the bottom. These are going to be all your cross-lay and discharge and pre-connects. They are all individually color-coded. Also, you'll find your foam level A located here. Also a water tank indicator. And to the very far right, you have an electric push-button prime. Let's go ahead and move down to the next set of valves and switches. We'll start on the left-hand side. This is going to be your reel discharge. As we move to the right, you'll find you have a 2.5-inch discharge here. And a little hard to see in this next image here, but this is going to be your pump PTO to engage, and I've got some close-ups of that in the next set of images. Moving just to the right or just down from that, you'll find your master intake here on the driver's side. Moving to the right, you'll find a warning label regarding pressurized caps and the hazards associated with that. We'll move all the way to the right, you'll find your tank fill recirculating line. And as we move further to the right, the last valve here is your tank to pump. Just up from that location, there is an additional valve. This is your engine cooler. This is a rotating valve, not a pull. Let's go ahead and talk about that initial switch here that I missed earlier. This is your PTO pump engaged. You can see it has an indicator when your pump is engaged properly. This is the warning label regarding the use of bleeder valves and also for caps under pressure. Information on your Husky 3 foam system. And as we move further to the right, here is the actual layout of that Husky system. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the discharges. As you can see on the left-hand side, this discharge has a red foam, indicating it has water and foam, and the other one does not. There's the difference between which ones are pre-plumbed for foam and which ones are not. This is your foam level A tank from full, refill, quarter, half to 3/4, and this is your water level. This is going to be your electric prime. It is a push-button Watrous. Let's talk about those switches. This is your panel, pump engaged, front and left right driver floods, and also your rear scene and reel rewind. You also have some future switch locations here too. This is your your foam system, which is Husky brand. And you can see just beneath that, you'll find an amber light. If this is on, it is a check transmission. Here's a close-up of, once again, your throttle control. Here is a close-up. Wanted to point out those vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. On the very front area, you have your crosslay for number 1 and number 2. They are foam and water capable. Let's start in the upper left-hand corner. You'll find this location for your reel to come through for the line. And we'll move all the way to the very top. You have also a water indicator side-facing and also a side-facing floodlight. Let's talk a little bit about some of the components here, and we'll break down those individually next. As we look here, this is going to be your reel discharge. This is the line that allows the hose to be moved in and outward. You can see a close-up here of your tank gauge. This is indicating how much water you have in your tank. Flashing would indicate that your tank is nearly empty or empty. As we move to the very rear section of your apparatus, you'll find at the very top you have a marker light in addition with a grab handle. And just beneath that, you have a 360-degree emergency warning light at the very top. Let's take a look at some of the compartments in your apparatus. These are all the compartments with on the driver's side. You can see on your roll-up door here, there are 2 shelves located here. They are adjustable, although they're currently in a fixed position once they're tightened down. Let's move back to the very rear section of the apparatus. Here is some additional shelving. Same concept here. There's a track on the inside
which allows you to set the position of those shelves and then tighten them down depending on the type of equipment you have in that area. Let's look underneath your apparatus. You'll find these two locations here. These are for your folding wheel chocks. They're just in front of the rear wheels. Let's talk about the compartment just in the front of the rear wheels. You can see it's a divided compartment with a pull-out shelf. To access that pull-out shelf, depress the back lever, which will allow the shelf to pull outward. Just to the rear of that location, this is your marker light on the side. And we'll talk about some of the access doors on your passenger and driver side, but first let's talk about some of the components here also. You can see you have SCBA storage in these access doors, in addition with a strap for bottle security. Then the side of your apparatus, there are emergency warning lights and also additional bottle storages. Once this compartment door is open, you'll also find additional bottle storage here. On the side of your apparatus, you'll find on the passenger and driver side, you have a direct tank location here for dumping your tank, and you also have one in the rear. We'll talk about some of the components on the rear of your apparatus. Let's start first in the lower left-hand corner. You have a reverse light. Moving up from that location is a turn indicator. Just up from that location is your LED brake lights. I should say these are all LEDs. And moving to the very top, an emergency warning light. Just to the right of this location, you'll find this small half dome light. These are step or work lights, which illuminate by the switch operated in the very back of your apparatus. You can see here that you have these two switches here, which is your driver's side dump and also your rear dump. In addition, with attachment points or tow hooks, they are both closed on the right and left-hand side of your apparatus. Located just above the tailboard, you have additional storage compartment here, and on the right-hand side, you'll find your Shoreline input. It is outlet. It is a 20 amp, 120 VAC. Once again, you also have a rear dump valve and also your passenger side dumps. Located in this access door, you'll find this just above those two switches. Once that door is open and accessed, you have a unique storage location here for long tool storage or hose storage. Located in the center of your apparatus at the very top, you'll find your reverse camera. Just beneath that, you'll find your water tank level indicator and also two floodlights. On the very top of your apparatus, you'll find your water fill location for top fill, and you'll also find an additional foam tank fill location for top fill of your foam. In the bulkhead area of your apparatus in the top of the hose bed, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge port, in addition with movable hose bed storage locations here. On the far right-hand side or passenger side of the apparatus at the top, you'll find your ladder storage location, and on the left up against the front area, you'll find your crosslay and also your reel. On the very top of this reel, you'll find, in case you have power failure, there is a slotted crank valve on the very top. Moving to the right-hand side, this is going to be your hydraulic for your foam system. There is also a fill location here. Moving to the rear of the apparatus in the very center, you'll find your rear dump. Located just to the right of that, you'll find a 2.5-inch intake. Moving just to the right, this is the location of that auto eject shore inlet. And at the very top, once again, for general purposes, this is your reverse or backup camera. And also your water tank level indicator. Moving to the passenger side in the rear, you'll find your passenger side rear dump. As we move forward, you'll find two additional bottle storage locations. They're located behind these access doors. Once inside, you'll find the strap for bottle security. Just over the rear tire, you'll find an additional emergency light. This is the same as the opposite side of the vehicle. Let's go ahead and move now down to the compartment down in the lower section in the front. This is a roll-up door. Once accessed behind the roll-up door, you'll find it's a split compartment. There is an adjustable shelf on the left-hand side and additional storage on the right. Moving just forward of this location, you'll find your powered equipment rack. There is a green light indicator when it's in the on position. This allows you to lift or lower your portable water tank. Currently in the down position, underneath that you'll find additional suction hose storage here. Also at the very top, you'll find a emergency light, 360 degrees. And just forward of that position, about mid-cab, is where you'll also find your side-facing floodlight. In addition, with a tank vision indicating the amount of water that's in the tank. Midsection of your pump, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. We'll move to the lower left-hand corner of your pump panel. This is not a pull valve, this is a turn. This is a relief valve on your left-hand side. To the right, this is going to be a discharge deluge drain and also the passenger side drain. Generalized view here, the side of the pump panel. We have a 2.5-inch discharge port and a large diameter intake. There are also 2 access doors. The smaller access door located here allows you to gain behind the pump panel for visual inspections. As we move forward, there's one that's a little bit larger. Behind that one that's a little bit larger, let's go ahead and take a look at that next. Here's the actual door itself. As we reveal inside that door, you'll find this is the location for your Watrous Prime Safe. This is a non-toxic lubricant. This is for the seal of your pump. Let's go ahead and now take a look. This is the passenger side main inlet. There's the strainer on the outside of this. As we move forward, I've got an additional image of that 2.5-inch discharge. This is the number 2 passenger side discharge. Let's go ahead and move up to the crosslay section now. As we look, you'll find your number 2 crosslay water foam and your number 1 crosslay water foam. This is exactly the same as the opposite side. Generalized view of the front section of your cab here. And we'll now cover a little bit of some of the components in this area. Starting with the step, there is also a light underneath, which is perimeter lighting. I've got an image of that in the next set of images. And let's go ahead and move just inside the cab, moving in from the passenger side. You'll see that you have a grab handle on the right-hand side, and in the very top section, there is additional ports for diagnostic ports and also a 12-volt storage. Moving also down, you have the foot pedal area. You have an electronic siren. And as we look to the front section here about knee height, you'll find your cab air filter access. Once again, on the left, there are those ports for the diagnostic checks and the 12-volt access point, in addition with an audible alarm. Let's go ahead and move overhead. As we look overhead, you'll find there is additional compartment storage above the overhead section and also the switches that we talked about earlier. Congratulations, Jackson County, Oregon, on your new apparatus, job number 31020. If you have any questions as to the content of this video, please contact your Hughes Sales Fire representative. Thank you and have a nice day.